Hey, good morning, guys. It's Gary coming back to you here from the Oldbarn Homestead. Thought I'd just give you a shop update Sunday morning. I made a video a few days ago on this channel and mentioned that I would be out of town, so I went and visited some family in Alabama and came back the day before Thanksgiving. And I worked on these all day on Thanksgiving, and Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, I spent most of the day on it as well. And this is the kind of stuff that I just I get myself into, and then I don't know, and let me take a minute and just describe the story here. So if you don't want to hear me ramble, you might as well just move on. If you want to hear me ramble about how I get myself into mistakes that cost me a lot of time, and it's anyway, not the customer's fault. It's my fault. A lot of times I'll try to help somebody out. I've, got a good idea about it, and then it just doesn't work out. It could have worked out, but even with that, and let me just explain. So I made the Wonder Woman shield. I posted it on Facebook, Instagram. I think I had a YouTube video on it as well. And the person I've made about 5 of them now, but the second person that got one posted it on, it's a local person. They posted it on their Facebook, and someone in the Dallas area that's a friend of theirs saw it and said, "Hey, would you be able to make me a Captain America one just like the Wonder Woman one?" And I said, "Well, are you looking for a real shield that's dome shaped, or are you just looking for metal arc that would be layers of flat sheet metal with a nice paint job on it?" Which those are, anytime you're painting something that's multiple colors, if you can avoid masking, you're way better off, especially with candy paint, because it's ends up such a thick buildup of paint that the masking really becomes an issue, and I'll show you why that is, which was my first mistake and failure on this, but I recovered from that. Anyway, so EcoMouse Design, actually, I was talking to him about doing coming up with the CAD on this, and he found on eBay that you can buy these shields unpainted that are really nice, and I'm overlaying what the back of it looks like. It's a complete real shield with leather straps. It is the real deal. It's $200 on eBay. So I told this customer, look, why don't you buy one of these, and then I will paint it for $75. And actually, the first person I told $50. And the second person that saw, I posted a picture of it and said, "Hey, I want one of those too." I told them $75 for the paint job, because even with that, it's just too cheap for what all is involved in it. So anyway, as you can see, man, I've got a real mess here. The paint cracked, bubbled up, and I'm going to get to what caused that in a minute. So a lot of masking involved in this. So you gotta mask off this center layer here, and then mask off that center, and then paint the red, and then remove that masking and mask all of this off, mask the star off, and then paint the blue, remove all that, and then clear it. So a couple things that got me in trouble. The one is, I was taking my time on this, because these are, the labor involved in painting these is not worth, if you mess up, to try to repaint it. It's just not worth it. It's just too much work, and that's kind of where I am. But the first thing that happened is that I had I was trying to do the candy in light layers, so I could, if I ended up with an area that wasn't uniform, if you're going with light layers, you have a lot more layers to try to blend and fix it, and with this being a round object and separated by, different colors and all, you don't really notice too many variations in the transparency of the candy, but it does show up here and there, and you want to try to make it as even as you can. So I was going light layers. I was taking my time. I was working on other stuff, in and out of the shop, some stuff outside. Letting the flash times go way long, at least 10, 15 minutes, maybe longer in some cases, so that it wasn't getting stacked up and all that. So anyway, the first thing that happened, I ended up, because I was going light layers, with a really heavy candy buildup, and you don't want to, and it was getting wetter and wetter. It was flashing less dry each time. It was getting really racked with solvents and keeping it wet even underneath. And so when I got ready to remove the masking, I ended up with it had bridged over in some areas, and you ended up with just some funkiness. So I thought, you know what, overall, if I can get this to look good, those little imperfections are not going to be that big of a deal. And I'm cutting these people a really good deal as well. I've seen these online, painted or anodized. I'm not sure, powder coated. I'm not sure what they do to them, but they're over $500. And here I am trying to give it to them for half of that. And I really should have been charging a lot more, but I digress. I agreed to it. That's such is life. I'm out here doing it. So, and then I ended up with an area here. You can see that it's so bubble up now everywhere that it's showing up. These little things don't show up as much, but what happened there was this was an area where the masking was removed, and then I had to have more base over there, and it reacted with where the masking had sort of torn the bridged area, and it exposed some of the more of the base, for it to get under, and lifted it up. So I tried to sand that a little bit, I expanded out where the blue went to on this one to out to this edge, where this one you can see the blue lines down in the crease. And even just masking it to try to get it, really round and uniform, it just, gosh, it was just so much work. So the first question that came up was what clear coat finish to go on this with. And I asked the customer, and they said, I said, do you want it super glossy like I do most of my paint jobs, or if you want it like the real Captain America one, it's more of a matte finish? So they said, I want matte finish. Well, when I put the matte finish on, I wasn't happy with it, because the matte clear, and I got a real mess over here that I need to clean up from painting, because I just got disgusted with it and moved on. But I'll show you this real quick. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Just show you this. If you're not a clear coat, if you've never worked with matte clear over regular colors, it just makes it look matte and so forth. But it's got a matting agent in it, and let me find a stick that I can use. And you see the white right there. Well, that's just a little bit of that matting agent. And you see normal clear coats like clear. I mean, you can see through it. Well, this, you can see it's got that milky matting agent in there, and that's what gives it the flatness and takes the gloss out of it. But that also, clouds up the look of the colors and all. Not only makes it less shiny and dull, but it tell that one's been used a lot, but it also it just sort of gives a haze. And when you're trying to give candy and be able to see the metal through the this had some brushed, this was finished out aluminum, and it was had some brushed rings in it, and I wanted that to be visible, and give it the depth, like normal. So after I put the matte clear on there, it just hazed it over, and I wasn't happy with it. So I thought, well, I can't put gloss clear, so that's going to be too glossy. So I thought intercoat clear with a little bit of hardener might be the way to go. So after I got the blue done, I pulled all the masking off, and I mixed up some intercoat clear, with the regular mix ratio with the reducer. Well, because I had already cleared it with the matte clear, and that clear was still fresh, it was a day old. This is what happened on Thursday. What happened was all of the solvent in the intercoat clear, which normal clear coat doesn't have any solvent, or some of them have a very small component of solvent. Some of them mix with no solvent. All the ones I use, except, well, the PPG does mix with solvent, but I don't use it that often. But the Urichem doesn't have, you don't mix any reducer in it. It's just the clear and the hardener. But intercoat clear is a heavy component of solvent. It mixes 2 to 1. So it's 33% solvent. And I mixed a little hardener in there. These are not going to go outside, so you don't worry about UV, or anything like that. So a little bit of hardener in intercoat clear should be enough protection for just inside use. Well, when I sprayed that on there, oh my gosh, I first saw, the first thing that caught my eye was this, because that on this color it showed up first. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't tack rag that, and some lint showed up in it from where I cleaned it. But it wasn't that, because I did tack rag it. And then a second or two later, it had just bubbled up everywhere, and you can see. So now I got this scenario, and the crazy thing is the person that was coming from McKinney, which is a DFW suburb a long ways away, she was going to be down here visiting some family on Thanksgiving, and she said, hey, I'll just come by and pick it up if you'll have it ready. And I've had these for a while, and I've just been waiting. I actually ordered one, and then the other one needed to come in. I wanted to paint them both at the same time. So I had to tell her that this is not going to happen, and I refunded her money, and anyway, it's just a big, oh well. I tried, if people knew how much time I spend on trying to make these things look as good as I can, and some of it is my skill set, some of it is just lapse in memory. I was talking to Shut Your Face Garage. He said that, and I had known that before. That's actually happened to me before, probably 3 years ago. And what I could have done was just dusted on the intercoat clear and gotten, 3 coats, maybe light coats dusted on there, and then come back with a heavy coat. But because I had already had so many layers on this, I was worried about orange peel and it getting really peely because of so many layers on it already, that I wanted the intercoat clear to go in there wet and try to just, self-level it, wet it out a little bit. Not super wet, but, more than dusting it on. And you can see that, where it went on really heavy, it attacked it. So this did not get attacked, the blue, because the reason that didn't get attacked was that actually went on top of the clear. I'd cleared the red in first, then the blue went on top, and then I was going to clear the whole thing again. Well, so the blue I did very, very lightly on top of the other clear, and that's why it didn't react, because it was only base coat, not clear. This had the matte clear on it. Everything else from here down had the matte clear. The Star had the matte clear. So anyway, now I'm gonna see if I might be able to salvage it. It's not likely, because I'm gonna end up sanding through when I try to flatten all this out, and there's so many layers of it. Wherever you sand through candy, it's not like a regular base, that you can just kind of rebase over it. Wherever you get through, any of it really, even the bare metal parts, they've got matte clear underneath it. They've got adhesion promoter. Even if I sand through adhesion promoter down to bare metal, the adhesion promoter has got a tint to it that's cloudy looking, and you'll see it. So I'm going to sand it and see what it looks like. But there's really 2 options. One is I could just epoxy prime the whole thing, silver base it, remask, do all the layers, back in candy again. That's what I should have done to start with. And left these bare metal areas in silver base instead of, trying to make them look metal. But the real one looks metal, so that's what I was going for. Anyway, I'm talking like forever. I'm just venting, whining. So basically I've done, because I was out of town, I've done a whole, I've done a day and a half, well, really 2 days worth of work, and now I even have more work. And I didn't get paid anything. No payday. No, and I wasn't going to get paid much anyway. I was going to make about, let's see, 75 off one, 50 off of the other, $125 for the week. And but when you take away materials out of that 125, you know, probably 30, 40, $50 in materials. I don't even know what materials would be for it. Maybe not too much, maybe $30 for materials. You're talking about $100 for the week, and now I don't get any of that, and I've wasted materials that are on here. Oh, boys, it's some weeks are just fun like that. I'm not trying to complain and vent, you know. It is what it is. I think some people from a distance might look and say, well, what about this? You're making, you know, this much off of that, and, you know, this whatever. It just, sometimes it doesn't go that way. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is sand these down, see what it looks like. And they make a version of this that's got a distressed look to it. It's like the shield's been in a battle, you know. I think it may have been from one of the movies. Honestly, I don't really follow any of the comic stuff in the movies. Although hopefully I'm going to see the Justice League today with my kids. But, or no, we're not going to see that. We're going to see something else. But anyway, I just thought I'd make a video and kind of show you what can go wrong. And even though you know something in the back of your mind, you think through it a little bit, and then the next thing you know, bam, it bites you. So one of the disadvantages for sure of using paint compared to powder coat, you know, these kinds of things, you know, would not show up in powder coat for sure. But I know powder coat issues happen, and you got to start over with that as well. You know, if you don't get the heat on it right and it doesn't flow in right or whatever. I used to do some powder coating. So, all right, guys, long video. I know probably too many of you aren't tuned in now. You're tired of hearing me talk. But just, you know, how it goes sometimes. I'll see you.